All right, let's talk about some key components to the Missouri test. The first one is memorize the key agency relationships. The agency relationships are so important on the Missouri test, both on the state and the national. It's something we focus on. We like to say that you have to know what you're doing in real estate, and everybody has to know your role in real estate. And to do that, we need to understand the agency. So, one of the number one questions on the test is, what is agency and what does that look like? Types of agency are the seller's agent, and the seller agent predominantly works with the seller and only the seller. The X agency is buyer's agency. The buyer's agent works with the buyer through the process of buying a house. So we like to say, if you're going to be a seller's agent, you put on a seller's hat. If you're going to be a buyer's agent, you put on a buyer's hat. That way, everybody knows your role in agency, and you need to know to pass the test. Dual agency. In dual agency, it's a little bit different. You actually sign a buyer's agency with the buyer and the seller's agency with the seller, and you work through the transaction as a dual agent. So excitingly enough, you're working with both sides of the transaction. Lastly, we have what is called a designated agent. A designated agent is somebody that is designated to work with only one client. So you can be a buyer's designated agent, or you could be a seller's designated agent, but you know specifically you're only working with that one person, and you are the only one at your agency working with that person. These terms will help you through the test and give you a good score. Now I'm going to look at our fiduciary responsibilities. Do you know that when you become a real estate licensee, you have a fiduciary obligation to your client, and it's an extremely important one. It's just the same as what doctors and lawyers have with their clients. You are now at a role that if you have entered into agency with a client, you have to hold their needs up to the utmost responsibility. So we have a thing that we call COLD. We see it in property management, we see it in real estate, and we see it about everywhere in this business. So COLD stands for care, obedience, accounting, loyalty, and disclosure. Let's talk about that. Care. Reasonable care when you're working with clients. This means you're putting them before your own self. You are helping them get through the transaction, giving them the information they need, and taking care of them to the best of their ability. Obedience. Did you know when you sign that agency agreement with your client, you are actually signing an employment agreement with your client? So you owe them obedience. So if they say that you can't show the house in the evenings from 7 to 9 p.m., you need to follow their guidance and their request. Accounting for money is so important in a real estate transaction. You need to know where the earnest money deposit is going. You need to make sure that everything is coming through on the closing statement for your clients, so that when they're sitting at the closing table, it's not a stressful situation and they know exactly what to expect. The next one is loyalty. You show complete loyalty to your clients, just like a doctor and attorney would show to their clients. This loyalty does not end at the end of the relationship. When you close this house, you show loyalty beyond that. That means you don't talk about personal information after the situation is over. The last one is disclosure, full disclosure to this individual. So you are working with them at the utmost fiduciary responsibility. So in this process, you are giving them all the information you possibly know. So if you happen to hear the seller say something and you're helping a buyer, you let the buyer know right then. You always give them all the information up front. And other really important things for the test. Contracts are a huge section on the test. So you need to walk through, what is a valid contract? What does a contract look like? What makes a contract voidable or null and void? How long is this contract good? Basic knowledge of listing agreements, purchase agreements. Those are things that we specifically look at in the test prep class to get you ready to take the test. I will tell you more and more, and it is important. We are seeing a lot of fair housing test questions on there. It is extremely important for you to understand the 7 protected classes. In this process, we walk through each one and why they're important. Then we also look at key components like block busting, steering, moving buyers away from neighborhoods they want to be in. Those are really big key factors on the test, and honestly, they're big factors in today's world.